TCR class has been another thing of interest this year where we've had a lot of manufacturers come in, that there's been growth, immediate growth with those multiple manufacturers, car counts. Also seen one or two manufacturers really assert themselves. What's the process been like behind the scenes on the technical end to say, okay, wow, we got a lot of cool manufacturers here, but everybody kind of wants to play at the front. Have you guys been working to give a better chance of that happening?
We have, and I think it's a great question because TCR has been a Pirelli World Challenge level of success globally. I mean, here they went from 0 to having 24 championships or 26 championships around the world signed up. With that 2-year growing, there has been some tremendous growing pains. The classic one I like to point out is their BOP has a 35 kilogram driver. and so, you know,
that's my right leg.
I was just going to say, for the two of us, we make up almost 100 kilogram between the two of us. So I looked at that and went, there might be some problems. And Marcus Hazelgrove, in 2015 in the summer, he brought it to me, he said, Greg, this is emerging. Let's watch this. I think we should do this just as he did with the BMW 235i. He drove that, jumped over to Germany, looked at it, said, hey, let's talk to these guys. And the winter of 15, we went over to Munich, in that case, of the 235i, and started talking to him. You have a single Mark series. We had the same relationship with Lottie, Marcelo Lottie from TCR. We'd like to work with you. He worked with IMSA as a master licensee. We came in underneath that, and we were able to work with Audi to introduce the cars into TC first. So we were happy about that. Those are the good things. But to that question you raised about how do we work with the manufacturer when you have Hyundai and Honda, specific by name, at the front of the grid, what's the opportunity? They're running under a global BOP. Yeah. They're getting the full advantage of that, but we're seeing some areas, whether it's the DSG transmission with the Audis or some other areas that are not getting the full performance and opportunity. We're working with TCR now to bring it in so that we have a more balanced field, because right now it's not fun. People are not going to be interested in moving from one side of the U.S. to the other if they just know these two manufacturers are going to be their top podium steps. That's just a given. That's not racing. That's not really fun. We love the fact having Brian Herta involved, having Hyundai involved, having Ryan Eversley in real time. You know, to have real time back in our paddock, obviously big deal to us. So I think the effort that Marcus and the team are working on, we've met with some of the manufacturers here this weekend at Road America that are TCR involved to talk about what we're working on, Honda specifically, out and an Audi, another one, that we have to have this closer. At Portland, it's got to be fun. Now, what's neat about Portland, too, is that they have a huge import or enthusiast auto base. You know my background, tuning side, so I'm excited about that. And I want to give those people, there's something called the Red Door Meet that's huge in Portland, 5,000 cars, that we want the Subaru fans, the Toyota fans, the Nissan fans to come up there and maybe see racing different than what they'll see open wheel with IndyCar or traditional GT racing with us. We want them to see our TC and TCR races. It's just super close, super fun. So that's a real big deal for us, and that's why this BOP coming into that weekend is something we're working really hard on. But the manufacturers have been, I'm sorry to stretch it out, but I think the manufacturers have been really open at all levels. Hey, we want to be fair too. We want this to be close racing. We don't want to run away with it. What can we do? Yeah, so I think we're getting a good teamwork attitude between the TCR organization, our manufacturers, and our teams and drivers. I think we'll have a close race.
Well, that's the reaction you want from manufacturers. Let's close on reactions. Been a little bit of time since the announcement of the SRO taking controlling stake of Pirelli World Challenge Series. Give us some thoughts on additional feedback as the weeks have gone on from your paddock, maybe from outside this paddock. Thoughts about where the series is heading going forward?
Well, I think we've talked about, and I've mentioned to several people in the course of my business career, I've done a lot of acquisitions. I think I figured out maybe 24 different times I've bought somebody's business. In that same period of time over my business years, I've been acquired 3 times. The third time, the majority share purchase with the SRO. By far, in either direction, this is the smoothest integration, the most professional, the most focused group of people. Because they've been doing GT racing for, as we know it, for over a decade, they know what works, they know what doesn't work. They have also been extremely respectful of each of the markets they've gone into. Well, in Asia, a pro-pro combination doesn't work. And they'll say that. They go, we're more of a Pro-Am gentleman driver program in certain of their Asian championships. However, in Europe, we do this. Now, in North America, we've observed for 2.5 years. We think you might want to look at this going forward, but the exact instructions to myself and the team was, please keep doing what you're doing. Look to, here's some best practices that we do that you may find to be very beneficial. Do those things, but beyond that, why don't you just focus on keeping the ship going the same direction, and we'll work together, and let's look at things like the California 8-hour, where we really are completely branded under SRO. We're like Bathurst and others, we're the support organization behind them, but it's an SRO event. I think that gives us a real opportunity to say, okay, that's a full SRO experience. Now our teams and drivers that are going to participate in that go, all right, that's a little different. And we can now take best practices from that and say that's what works well for us. The bottom line that we can see where is for our business in 2018 and going into 19 is consistency and communication. Those are the two areas that we've been weak on. That's where the paddock has been very clear. I don't understand this in race control. I don't understand this when you communicated about a BOP decision. I didn't hear that or I didn't see it. So we've been working on that. That's something that we know from what the SRO does. They are multiples better than us at their communication process. They do very well on it, and it isn't that we have a completely vast different rule set, is that they bring it out much more clearly. You know exactly what to expect and when to expect it. They also recognize as they've gotten closer to us, some of the dynamics of North American GT racing are, you come to Road America and you're not at a grade 1 F1 paddock where you just walk in and everything's presented the same way and stewards' offices are here and a media room is here. We bring the show with us. We have some things that are more challenging that way, but at the end of the day, I hope the next time we do an interview, and maybe whenever that'll be, that it'll say, no, we talked about this. Are we able to do that more? Have you seen that benefit? And if there's been any negative, let's talk about that, because there's always going to be cultural issues when you bring one organization into the other. But so far, really good, and we're looking forward to the future with them.